So let's start with a meditation on equanimity. As always, we begin by preparing the body, setting the body into a state of relaxation, stillness, and vigilance. And relaxing more deeply with each out-breath. And allowing the breathing to settle into its natural rhythm. Simply allowing it to flow naturally and effortlessly. And allowing the mind to come to rest in the present moment. Simply becoming aware of the rhythm of the breath. Equanimity is a mind of impartiality towards others, not having attachment to those close to us, not having aversion or hatred towards those who we find difficult, and not being apathetic or indifferent towards strangers. It's equanimity that allows loving kindness and compassion to expand out boundlessly. Normally these qualities are mixed with attachment, but we grow beyond attachment when we realise that every living being is equally worthy of finding happiness and freedom from suffering. So first bring to mind a person who you know well, but is neither a friend nor someone who you dislike. And imagine them very clearly in front of you. Just like yourself, in wanting to be happy and wanting to be free of suffering. Now shift your perspective and view the world through their eyes. And from this perspective, look back at yourself. Their yearning for happiness and freedom from suffering is identical to your own. And even though they're not close to you, their happiness is no less significant than the happiness of a loved one. Next, bring to mind a person who you feel is crucial to your well-being. A person for whom you have both affection and attachment. And again, picture them very clearly in front of you. And again, shift your perspective and view the world through their eyes. Being this person from the inside. They have their own hopes, fears and desires. And just like yourself, they have both qualities and faults. And now step back and again view this person from the outside. And see that this person is not the true source of your happiness. This can only come from within your own mind. Next, bring to mind a difficult person, someone who you dislike. And again, picture them very clearly in front of you. And again, shift your perspective and view the world through their eyes, being this person from the inside, experiencing their hopes and fears. This person is also just like yourself in wanting to be happy and wanting to be free of suffering. And again, shift your perspective and view this person from the outside. And see that this person is not the true source of your anxiety or distress. This can only come from within your own mind. And so realize there's nothing inherent in the stranger, the loved one, or the difficult person that makes them that way. Circumstances change, and they can easily move from one category to another. Shifting circumstances bring us together and cause us to part. And recognize that everyone is fundamentally like yourself in wanting to be happy and wanting to be free of suffering. And then arouse the thought, how wonderful it would be if everyone had equanimity, free of attachment to friends, free of apathy to strangers, free of hostility, anger or hatred towards difficult people. And then release all appearances and allow the mind to come to rest. resting in this inner purity of mind. Which is in the nature of equanimity, free of attachment, free of apathy, free of aversion. So I'd like to go back and summarise a little bit these two Shamatha models that we've been looking at. So remember the word Shamatha. We can divide into two. Shama means calm. And Tat means to remain or abide. So we're not only talking about a calm mind, but a mind that is abiding single-pointedly on the object. And these two Shamatha models that we've seen, particularly this one here where we had a look at in quite some detail, reflect these two aspects of the word Shamatha. This model here, this 9-stage model, have a more perspective of the mind abiding better and better on the object. So that's what we saw in these 9 stages. Each stage we're abiding better and better on the object. We're focusing better and better on the object. So these 9 stages are often called the 9 mental abidings. And this is a model we often use for example using the breath, abiding better and better on the object, on the breath. Whereas we also briefly looked at this 4-stage model, so remember that 4-stage model, the first stage, the waterfall, then the fast-flowing river, slow-moving river, and then the still lake. So these 4 stages are more about the event perspective. How are the events unfolding in the mind? And so this is really more to do with this aspect of calm. And so what I'd like to do is sort of compare those two a little bit, and we can see them both present in that next chart that you have here, called the 9 stages leading to Shamatha. We have the 9 stages over the left-hand column, and the 4-stage model in the rightmost column. Except here, that model is divided into 5. So the last 2 stages here, the still lake is sort of divided into 2 sort of smaller stages, but it's essentially this 4-stage model. And if we go back on the previous page, remember up the top here, it said Shamatha is attained by progressing through the 9 stages, relying on 8 antidotes to abandon the 5 faults. This is accomplished through the 6 powers, so remember that was those 6 straight roads that we briefly talked about, and the 4 mental engagements. So we didn't talk about that, but they are in the column here, the third last column, the type of mental engagement. So let's review these 9 stages and compare them to the 4-stage model by just briefly going through this table here. So again, we saw at stage 1, directed attention. So the next column says, what is achieved? So remember, to achieve the first stage, we simply need to be able to hold the object for even a second or 2. And so this is what it says here. One is able to direct the attention to the chosen object, even just for a second or 2. So if we do that, we've got to stage 1. That's what we achieve. The power by which this is achieved, remember that the hearing, the power of hearing, that straight road of hearing. The first, we need to learn the instructions, then we know what to do, we apply them, we get to that first stage by being able to focus on the object even for a brief period of time. But of course, what problems still persist at the first stage is there's no attentional continuity on the object. Means that we can hold the object for a matter of seconds and then we're distracted for long periods of time. And so the attentional imbalance, the main one there, is this coarse excitation. So coarse excitation, of course, is when we're completely distracted from the object. And the type of mental engagement there, it says focused. What that means is we need to put a lot of effort simply to focus on the object. So we're constantly trying to focus on the object because most of the time we're not focused on the object. So we have to keep focusing on the object. And the quality of our experience is one of movement. There's a lot of things going on. And so then, to correlate that with the 4-stage model, then of course it's similar to the waterfall experience here. The flow of involuntary thoughts is like a cascading waterfall. Then if we go to stage 2, we've overcome the problem from stage 1, which was there was no attentional continuity of the object. So the problem at the previous stage we've resolved at the next stage, so there is some attentional continuity of the chosen object for up to a minute or 2. So that's what we achieve at stage 2. And we do that by, again, thinking and reflecting about the practice, to understanding it more, to get more enthusiastic about it. But then what problems still persist at stage 2 is that still most of the time we are distracted. Most of the time we're off the object. And so again, the attentional imbalance there against coarse excitation is we're just completely distracted. And again, at stage 2, the type of mental engagement is focused, meaning we have to put a lot of effort simply just to focus on the object. And so again, the quality of our experience is still a lot of movement, a lot of things going on, and so therefore we still have that cascading waterfall of thoughts experience. But then, at stage 3, we resolved the problem at stage 2, which means now we are most of the time on the object. And so what we achieve is that we are most of the time on the object, and we get to that by the power of mindfulness, that by strengthening our mindfulness now we can really hold the object longer and longer, and most of the time we're now on the object. But still, occasionally we get distracted. So the problem that still persists at stage 3 is that still occasionally we get distracted for brief periods of time. So of course the attentional imbalance is still coarse excitation because we still get distracted. But now the type of mental engagement is not focused because now we are mostly on the object, but that focus is being interrupted by dullness or distraction. So that's why the type of mental engagement now is called interrupted, that we're mainly on the object, but it's interrupted every now and again by these imbalances. But still, there's still a lot of movement going on, a lot of thoughts and things happening, so the quality of the experience is of movement, and so therefore we still have that waterfall experience. But then, of course, we resolve that problem at stage 3, but we still get distracted a little bit at stage 4. So at stage 4 now, what we achieve is we never get distracted from the object. And we do that by improving mindfulness. But what problem persists here is because now we never get distracted, some degree of complacency concerning samadhi, meaning that now there can be a problem that because we're holding it, we never lose it, we become a bit complacent. We think, well, okay, I'm just about there, I can sort of take a bit of a rest here, and we just sort of don't keep putting effort into the practice so much. That's what complacency here means. So now, of course, the attentional balance is not this coarse excitation where we completely lose it, but where we have that competing thoughts. That medium excitation is where we may even just be holding the object a little bit, and then mainly we're sort of thinking about other things. And still we have some very coarse laxity, meaning sinking still quite a lot. And so again, the type of engagement is still interrupted because we're interrupted by those two imbalances. But now the quality of our experience is shifted. Now the quality of our experience is one of achievement. We have this sense of achievement that we're no longer really a beginner, that we're really starting to really get into this practice. So we have that sort of experience of achievement. And now, instead of a cascading waterfall, now it's more like a fast-flowing river of thoughts. So then, at stage 5, now we overcome that complacency because now we have really a lot of satisfaction in the practice. And we achieve that by improving our quality control through introspection. But still, at stage 5, there is still some resistance there in the practice. And now we've really overcome that coarse laxity, so we're not sinking as much. So if we look at, there's 3 levels here of this coarse, medium and subtle laxity. If you look at the bottom, it says coarse laxity is the attention mostly disengages from the object due to insufficient vividness, or in other words, clarity. Whereas now medium laxity is the object appears, but not with much clarity or vividness. So that's where we are now here at stage 5. So again, we're still, our focus is still interrupted by this medium excitation, medium laxity. Again, the quality of the experience is a sense of achievement, and still the equivalent experience is the fast-flowing river of thoughts. But then, when we get to stage 6, now we have no resistance in training the attention. And again, we're improving through improved quality control, through introspection. But then, of course, there's still these mental afflictions like desire, depression, lethargy, drowsiness. They're still there, causing a few problems in the practice. And now we have overcome that medium excitation. We have just the subtle excitation now. And still, therefore, our engagement is